Have you ever wanted to try sublimation, but maybe the price tag on a printer setup was holding you back? We have a new product you'll want to play with, so stick around and see for yourself. Hey everyone, I'm Lily from Siser. Welcome back to another episode of Clued Into Crafting. Today we're going to be talking about Siser Sublimation Markers. What are they, what they can do, and why they're a great addition to your craft room. Before we begin, here's what you're going to need to work with Siser Sublimation Markers. Plain copy paper. You can also use lined paper or graph paper. Basically, the cheaper the better, but you definitely do not want to use sublimation papers. Sublimation compatible blanks. Garments that are at least 50% polyester and a light color are most common, but they also make many poly-coated metal, wood, and even plastic blanks that you can use. And of course, the markers are going to work with any Siser HTV that you can sublimate on, like Easy Subli, glitter, or even some holographics. Siser heat tape. This will hold your designs in place and prevent shifting, which causes ghosting. Parchment paper. This is going to function as your cover sheet because it's cost effective and is easily thrown away if the ink seeped through. You do not want to use a standard non-stick cover sheet because it's less cost effective, and if the ink seeped through, it could end up on your next project. A heat press. A heat press is going to give you the best results when working with sublimation markers. But of course, a Cricut Easy Press or a home iron could be used. You're just going to have more inconsistent results. Last but not least, Siser Sublimation Markers. The primary pack has a whole rainbow full of colors, while the pastel pack offers softer shades. And the black pack has all the same color but different nib styles, so you can be extra creative. Now that we have all our supplies, let's start drawing. Siser Sublimation Markers might look and feel like your typical marker, but the ink inside is anything but ordinary. Because of the special ink, it's best to store them on their side, but you'll want to flip them over for about 15 minutes before use. You don't want to store them like this because they'll end up oversaturated, but you also don't want to store them like this because they could end up dried out. All right, now we're really ready to start drawing. The chisel tip lets you create multiple kinds of line thicknesses, so you have even more possibilities. You might notice the color of the marker cap looks different than the color on the paper. Don't worry, sublimation marker ink starts out dull but becomes vibrant after heat application. Keep in mind as you're drawing that the paper will be flipped onto the substrate to press, so your original image will look backwards on the finished product. If you want to use words in your designs, don't worry, you don't have to learn to write backwards. There are a few methods to make words work with your sublimation marker designs. One way is to write on the back with a pen and trace from the front. Or you can print on the page with your inkjet or toner printer and trace from the front. This also helps if your drawing skills aren't up to par. Another way is to use stencils. And the last choice is the most advanced, but a really fun one. You can use your vinyl cutter to draw the text, as long as you have a marker adapter. So now that all of our drawings are ready, let's prepare them for heat application. Place your blank item directly on top of the ink, then grab your Siser heat tape and use as many pieces as you need to securely hold the paper in place. Preventing the paper from shifting is really important because the sublimation markers still go through that full sublimation process. So when they're heated, they rise and turn into a gas, and as they cool and come back down, if the paper shifts, so can those inks. So you might end up with a double image or a ghost image. When it comes to heat application, the blank item is going to dictate your settings. With hard goods on a heat press, we suggest 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds with firm pressure and a hot peel. For soft substrates, we recommend 370 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 seconds, still with firm pressure and a hot peel. If you're using a Cricut Easy Press, we suggest adding an additional 30 degrees Fahrenheit to the heat press temperature. If you're using a home iron, you'll want to be on the highest setting for 3 minutes with firm pressure. Now let's take one last look at the color transformation, from drawing to fully applied. Now you might notice inconsistencies in the home iron and the Easy Press application, and that's totally normal. Either way, you still end up with a super cool, permanent image. That's right, Siser sublimation markers are just as permanent as normal sublimation ink, which means you can't wipe or scratch it off once it's been heat applied. That means you can wash and dry your hard and soft substrates. When it comes to garments, we recommend using a cold water setting and a low temperature on your dryer for best results. If you have any extra drawings, you can save them for future projects and press them whenever you get a chance. The ink will activate just the same even after time has passed. If you have a heavily saturated image, you'll want to let it dry before pressing or storing away. And if you accidentally smear any of those saturated inks on your clothing, you can wash it as long as it hasn't been heat set yet. Last but not least in the cleanup process, don't forget to return your markers to their flat storage position when you're all finished. Are you ready to try your hand at sublimation? Siser Sublimation Markers are carried by most authorized distributors and resellers. If you're on the hunt for them, you can always shoot us an email at info@siserna.com and we'll be sure to point you in the right direction. But before you go, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one. I'm Lily from Siser, and this has been Clued Into Crafting. See you next time!